Hello, friends, and you are once again welcome back. Our discussions of botany, and this time I am not going to continue with the Fabaceae flower. But before we go to the details of Fabaceae gynoecium, we are going to talk about one more botanical feature that is found in almost every flowering plant, and that is um, bract. We are going to talk about bracts. Those are found in various different families, various different plants, and let's go to its details now. Okay, so let's go. See, what you are watching here on the screen is a typical flower. A typical flower in flowering plants means angiosperms that look something like this. And let us go to its few details. Your kind attention, please. Fine. See, if you carefully watch this flower, then you can note that this flower is having the four usual floral whorls, and uh, this is the outermost floral whorl that is called calyx. Its single member is called sepal. Second is corolla. Its single member is called petal. Third one is the male reproductive part of the flower that produces pollen grains, and that is stamen. Its group is called androecium. And the fourth one is gynoecium, and its single member is called carpel. So these are the four floral whorls of a typical flower. Those flowers which have all these floral whorls, they are called complete flowers. And those flowers which lack any of them, then that is called incomplete flower. Fine. So let us try to understand few more details here. See, here is the stalk of the flower, and that is called pedicel. And at its base, there is a leafy appendage, a leaf-like structure that arises at the base of this flower, means at the base of this pedicel. So that is, in fact, the bract here. See, this green structure, what you are watching here on the screen, this one is bract. Flowers which have bract, they are called bracteate flowers. And flowers which lack bracts, they are called ebracteate flowers. Bracteate flowers are written like BR while writing the floral formula. And ebracteate flowers, they are symbolically written as EBR. Ebracteate flowers. Bracteate flowers and ebracteate flowers. There are two types depending upon presence of bract or absence of the bract. If the bract is present, it is called bracteate flower. If the bract is absent, then it is called ebracteate flower. These bracts of they are of variety of types, variety of different types. But before we go to that, I'll tell you one more similar structure that is found in angiosperms, and let's go to that first. See, Here is a leaf you are watching on the screen. And if you very carefully watch this leaf, this is the leaf lamina. Here is the petiole stalk of the leaf, and at the base of this petiole there are two leafy appendages. You can see here. They are called stipules. When leaves have stipules, then they are called stipulate leaves, and when they lack stipules, they are called ex-stipulate leaves. So stipules are leafy appendages at the base of any leaf. This is a leaf, and at its base here are present leafy appendages called stipules. Leaves which have stipules, they are called stipulate, and leaves which lack stipules, they are called ex-stipulate. So what about bracts? Stipules are present at the base of petiole, that is stalk of leaf, while if you see this one, bracts are leafy appendages. They are present at the base of. They are present at the base of pedicel, that is the stalk of the flower. At the base of flower, there is a leafy appendage called bract, while if you see this one, at the base of leaf, there are leafy appendages called stipules. Fine. So let's continue our discussions of bract once again. And this time, let's try to understand a variety of different types of bracts found in various different flowers. So let's begin with one example here, and that is found in the family Araceae or arum family, and this family is having an inflorescence axis, or this is the floral axis of this plant, and on this floral axis there are flowers arranged in different manner here, and there is a large bract at the base. This bract is called spathe, and that is the reason why this plant is named as Spathiphyllum. Phyll, Phyll is leaf, so this plant is Spathiphyllum, and this Spathiphyllum has large bract called spathe. NASA's Clean Air Study Program has noted that this plant is having a capacity and ability to absorb some harmful components present in the air, and that is why it is preferred as a plant that is used for interior decorations, desk decorations, etc. And even it is used in balconies or gardens too as a decorative plant. So this bract you are watching here, that is called spathe, it is a large bract. Bract need not have to be looking like leaf always. It may have various different forms and even various different functions too. So let's try to understand what those are. Fine. Let's go to one more example. Here is plant which we see very commonly in the gardens, and that is why it is something called glory of garden. This is usually found on the fences of many bungalows, houses, etc. And this one is supposed to be a decorative, but a plant which can be used as a at the fencing. And this one uh, is also known as bougainvillea. Now, if you watch this flower carefully, here is a tubular corolla made up of white petals. And around that, here are large bracts. These large bracts which are present around this flower, they look like petals. And that is why it is called petaloid bract. That is petal-like bract. So bougainvillea flowers, they are characteristically, they show this type of flower, and that is this type of bract, that is known as petaloid bract. Petal-like bract means petaloid bract. They look bright in color, just like petals. They have some attractive colors, and that is why they are called. That is called petaloid bract. Fine. So let's go to one more example. Now we are studying various different types of bracts. Those are found in angiosperms, and let's take one more example here. And here is euphorbia plant. These are flowers of Euphorbia milli, and Euphorbia, this genus has almost more than 2000 different species. One of them is this one. This is also an ornamental plant, and usually it is used as a plant that contains the pests. So let's try to understand what exactly, and then I'll continue with the structure of bract here. See, this is not actually the flower of Euphorbia. This is inflorescence called cyathium. And this cyathium inflorescence is having flowers which are confined to this region only. Both male and female flowers, they are confined to this central portion only, this region here. Here are the flowers. While if you watch it very carefully, then you can note that this is a leafy appendage. These two are leafy appendages. Those are born here around these flowers. So these are bracts. These are fleshy bracts. These are succulent type of the plant, looks like a succulent, often confused with the Cactaceae family, but this is Euphorbia plant. And this plant has, as I told you, it has pesticide properties. There are some poisonous secretions, mild poisonous secretions secreted by this plant, particularly flower. And what happens because of that? Snails are controlled. Many diseases like schistosomiasis, they are transferred from one person to other person through snail vector. And that is why WHO has suggested this plant as a plant that can control the snails, of course, the vector of that infectious disease, and that is the reason this plant has some importance. Many species of Euphorbia, they are used for production of biodiesel, also some non-fossil fuel bioenergy resources, and we will go to its details later on. But right now, this is Euphorbia milli, and in that plant, these two are large bracts. These bracts are having nectaries at the base here, at this rim of this inflorescence, at the rim of this entire structure here. And these nectaries, they secrete nectar and attract insects. Fine. So this is also a type of bract that is found in euphorbia. They are called cyathophylls. As the inflorescence here is cyathium, I repeat, see, this is not a flower. This is a complete inflorescence having various different flowers present at the center here. And around this entire group of flowers at the center, there are present these two bracts. So these are cyathophylls because they are present around the cyathium. Fine. So this is also a type of bract we have discussed here. And now let's go to one more type of bract that is found in family Asteraceae. Asteraceae family, or it is also called Compositae family. This family is called so because there are found compound flowers in them. There are found flowers which are this structure is not a flower. It is a group of many flowers. Let's take one more example that is we are much familiar with, and this one is sunflower, Helianthus. Heli means sun and anth is flower. Anthology is the study of flowers. Anthophytes are plants having flowers in them. So Helianthus is sunflower. Here, this entire structure is not a flower again. It is an inflorescence, and that is called head or capitulum, or that is also called anthodium. So this inflorescence present in Asteraceae, it is having these two different types of flowers. This first type of flower it has, that is called a ray floret. And the second type of flower it has, they are called disc florets. These are small flowers and hence they are called florets. These are ray florets while these are disc florets. So obviously these structures, these petal-like flowers, they actually look like sun rays, and that is why they are called ray florets. And at the central disc there are present these disc florets. Their succession, their placement and their growth that takes place towards central, and that is called centripetal succession of growth of these flower, or centripetal succession of arrangement of these flowers. The flowers are larger towards the periphery, and as they move towards the center, they become smaller and smaller. Young flowers are present at the center, while the old flowers, they are present at the periphery. And this is what known as centripetal succession here. So this is also an example of Asteraceae family of this inflorescence. And now let's try to understand one more point that is associated with this. This is one more example, and here is an example which we will go some more details. See, here you can note that there are leafy appendages in this Asteraceae inflorescence. There are such leafy appendages, such type of structures, such type of appendages, and they are in the form of whorl here. Such a whorl of bracts is known as involucre, or that is also called involucell. Fine. So this is whorl of bracts that is present in this inflorescence. And let's go to this image of sunflower once again, and you can note that here are present these leafy appendages here at the base on the other side there, and that is known as involucell or involucre. That is not actually the calyx, but looks like calyx. And the flower, inflorescence that looks like a flower, but it is a group of many flowers, two types mainly. This one is ray floret, while these are disc florets. If you compare this image with uh, this image of sunflower, then you can note that ray florets in this image, they are quite expanded one. And here you can see that these ray florets are larger in size. In many of plants of Asteraceae family, these ray florets even have a pistil or carpel here with bifid stigma. But in many species, subspecies of sunflower, this characteristic feature is not found. They are actually sterile flowers in many subspecies, varieties of angiosperms, varieties of sunflower. Fine. So here are some broader ray florets. They are expanded here. If you watch this carefully, see, these are expanded petals. Ray florets. These are expanded ray florets, and these expanded ray florets present in this flower. Inflorescence. These ray florets, if you compare with this one, then you can note that this flower is having somewhat thinner ray florets. And this is a type of sunflower, helianthus. It is a variety of a helianthus that is produced by plant breeding, by plant breeders, by using various different pollination techniques and various different breeding techniques. This variety has been developed. So what is the reason why these ray florets are thin here? The reason is, when these ray florets are thin, the access of honeybees or other pollinators, that becomes easier here, and they can access very easily to this plant. Usually when sunflower is grown along with apiculture units, then such types of species or such type of uh, varieties of sunflower, they are preferred, which have long elongated lobed ray florets, and that is why there are large gaps between adjacent ray florets, and through these gaps these honeybees, they can easily access. Yeah, see, these honeybees, when they access, then their movement from one plant to other plant, that becomes quite an easier when the petals are, the ray florets are not expanded, but they are thin and long. Well, the point was this one. There are bracts present in it, and these bracts, wait a moment, these bracts, this one, they are in the form of whorl, and that is called involucre or involucell, that you find almost in every flower of family Asteraceae. Apart from Asteraceae, even the carrot family that is also having such type of whorl of bracts, inflorescence found in carrots, that is umbel type, and in that there is found such a whorled arrangement of bracts, and that is also called involucell or involucre. Fine. So these were few variants of bracts, and when we write bracts, let's come to this uh, diagram here. When we symbolically represent bracts, then we write that as BR. If you remember, if the flowers are having symmetry, then they are something like this. They are called actinomorphic. They are represented by this symbol. If the flowers are having bilateral symmetry, then they are called zygomorphic. They are represented by this symbol. But what about uh, asymmetric flowers? Asymmetric flowers are found in canna. They are found even in Delonix, Colemoher. So that is represented something like this symbolically. But most of the flowers, they are found in these two categories only, actinomorphic and zygomorphic. These are symbols that we use while writing these things in floral formula. Fine. So flowers which lack bract, they are symbolically represented as EBR, ebracteate. Those are having bracts, they are called bracteate. Calyx is written by abbreviation K. Actually, the spelling of calyx does not begin with K, but as we use that C for corolla, here while representing calyx, we use other alphabet, that is K. And while writing androecium, A of course, and while writing gynoecium, we use the symbol G. So these are the basic things which we use while describing any flower, the form of floral formula. We usually write the number of sepals here, maybe 5, 4 or whatever. Then here we write the number of petals. Here we write the number of stamens. Maybe if you remember Fabaceae, then it is 9 plus 1. And here we write the number of carpels. And there are various different other conventions too, but we will go to their details later on. Right now, we have discussed the concept of bract today, and thank you for listening me so kindly. Have a nice day and see you again in the next lecture. Thank you.